In Michigan Saturday night, Trump continued to attack the judge in his New York fraud case. We've heard attacks like this before. Let's take a listen.
They fined me $355 million. It's the law. Nothing like this has ever happened. This judge is a lunatic, and if you've ever watched him, and the attorney general may be worse.
That judge is a lunatic. Now, we've seen this message play typically well with his base, but there's so many undecided voters. How do you think they're going to react to this ruling here in New York?
I think it can only be negative in terms of we're talking about the general election, assuming he obviously wins the primary. In the general election, first of all, obviously elections have come to the point and really began almost with Karl Rove and George W. Bush in 2004, where it's really about galvanizing the base because there are so few actual persuadable voters. Think about how many people you know that are thinking, I might vote for Biden, I might vote for Trump, maybe I'll vote for third party. This is such a very, very small number. If he's actually going for that number, I don't think this is going to help him, but certainly anything that he can do to try to galvanize his base and try to turn out his base and bring as many members of his base to come to the polls and to be energized, that's really the goal, and that's really the goal, I think, of this of his speech.
Well, I'm sure Nikki Haley has the same goal. We're going to listen to her because she's been attacking Trump on foreign policy. Here's what she had to say.
I'm worried at the fact that to go and tell a dictator that you're going to encourage him to invade our allies. Putin heard that loud and clear. There's a reason that right after that he did the deep fake and say, oh, I'm for Biden. Putin knows what he's doing. We dealt with him every day at the UN. He saw that. But let's look at this, too. Putin would love to have Trump or Biden.
She's obviously talking about Putin and the NATO comments our former president made and Navalny's death on Friday. Do you think this argument can get more traction here, Rich?
I don't really think necessarily in the Republican primary because Donald Trump has really transmogrified the Republican Party and the ideology of the Republican Party. From Dwight Eisenhower to Mitt Romney, the party was very much interventionist and internationalist overseas. Trump changed the Republican Party on trade from basically free trade economic nationalism, from immigration, from more inclusive immigration to more restrictive, both illegal and legal immigration. And when it comes to foreign policy, the party is now less interventionist. And when it comes to issues like Russia, they are, for example, a lot more pro-Russia than they would pro-Russia, I think, in the post-communist world, that is, than I think the party was prior to Donald Trump. What Nikki Haley is trying to do is bring the Republican Party on foreign policy back to what I call the status quo ante, meaning the status quo before the current status quo, where it was from Eisenhower to Bush. And that's really, I think, a tough sell. The real question is going to be in 2028, when Donald Trump is no longer on the ballot, there's really going to be another fight in the Republican Party. And there are going to be those who want to change it back to a more Nikki Haley type foreign policy, to those who want to continue the party in the role of Donald Trump, and that's really what's going to be the next kind of great debate in the party. But for Nikki Haley's case, obviously, it's very hard for her to try to pick up media attention. A lot of members of the media have kind of almost, other than NewsNation, have almost forgotten that she's even in this race, and that certainly hurt her. And obviously, she's going to her home state, and her home state shows her losing by 30 points or so. So she really needs to garner as much focus on her home state and to try to at least get within 10 points.
Yeah, we're showing the polls right there where she's leading by. Former President Trump is leading by over double digits, I should say. Now, going back to Haley's comments on hammering Trump for his comments about NATO, Biden's doing that as well. Do you think this is a good strategy for both of them, including Biden?
Yes, in Nikki Haley's case, she has to do absolutely anything, including a Hail Mary, to try to get this race as close as possible in South Carolina. I think she figures she's probably conceded that she's going to lose South Carolina, but she figures then you get to Super Tuesday, and there are states like Massachusetts and Vermont which allow for open primaries where potentially she could get some independents to come over. In Joe Biden's case, yes, absolutely. Joe Biden is twofold for Joe Biden. On the one side, he really has to, just like Donald Trump, he has to galvanize the base. The base seems a little bit de-energized. He has a problem on his left with Jill Stein, the Green Party nominee, and Cornel West as an independent candidate. And he needs to show that in many respects, when he talks about the need for democracy, he needs to show that he's the alternative to Donald Trump and that he's very much a progressive. On the other side, those voters in the middle, those very few kind of elusive centrist swing voters, if you will, this is his way of showing you, look, you may not necessarily like me, but compare me to the alternative. Donald Trump is not your father's Republican.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.